Welcome back to a new week and welcome to my Monday musings. Alright, so I actually had an interesting question regarding healing specifically, but energy healing, and I thought it was very interesting, and well, there's a variety of questions actually. I actually wanted to include it in a Monday musing. Not just because it has to do with healing and energy healing, but also, we work with energy in a variety of different practices and different manners. So this could actually relate to working with spirits, doing magic, spell work, and all that type of thing. So I wanted to talk about that today. Let me just read through this, and then we'll start taking it to pieces. Can you talk about transmuting disease into healing? I read that healing often comes from the underworld. Some say it comes from chi or Reiki energy. I wonder if it comes from within our bodies though. Do you think that meditating on removing a disease during waning moon and meditating on increasing health during waxing moon makes sense? And how do you see working with ascended masters as opposing to demons or fairies or archangels? And can you recommend some books? Alright, so taking that to pieces, first of all, transmuting disease into healing. This is a very difficult thing. It is a very advanced practice because if you don't get it right, you end up with the disease yourself. There's usually the recommendation or warning that comes with training when you're training to do energy healing. And that is if you are drawing the energy into yourself, and it's usually through your hands. This can be the extraction of power inclusions, it can be the extraction of negative energies of any kind. But when you're drawing that energy into yourself, don't let it go past your elbow. The main reason for that is if it starts to travel further, it can then attach to your own central nervous system. And then cause a lot of problems. So if you are drawing energy into your own body, don't let it go past your elbow. Make sure you draw some, don't draw all of it, just some of it, and then release it somehow. The way you release it is you can ground it, put your hands onto the earth and release that energy back or into the earth where it can be absorbed and transmuted by the earth itself. You can, one thing that I've found quite useful is to get a bowl of water and put some herbs in, such as hyssop or rue, and then, draw some energy out of the person, and then, plunge your hands into the water and let the energy move into the water and disperse into the water itself. And then you can discard the water. Usually into the earth again. The earth is a big place, it's a big thing, it's a big body, and it easily transmutes energy into what it can use. So if you've got a compost heap, you can put the water onto the compost heap, for instance, and that energy can be used to help the composting process. But if you are actually taking a disease out of somebody, extracting it out of the person, and trying to transmute it into something which is then healing, that is very difficult and definitely an advanced practice. It's possible I would rather not talk about it in a public forum because it can be quite dangerous. It can really be dangerous. Think about it in terms of you are drawing energy out of somebody, and then where do you put it? What do you do with it? Once it's drawn out of a person, a disease, an illness, it's got to go somewhere. And if you have nowhere to put it or nothing to do with it, it's going to go into your own body, and then you're going to get the disease or illness. If, however, you can transmute that energy and change it into something else. And one of the easiest ways to do this is through a process of visualization where you actually take it, you contain it somehow, and then you imagine it as a certain color or a certain thing, and you change that visualization. So you actually change the shape of the energy. This all comes down to vibrational states, frequencies, resonance, and such things. And the books I'm going to recommend are specifically about frequency healing, about sound healing, harmony and, you know, resonance, changing things into or causing things to resonate at a particular frequency. Because what you're doing is you take a disease that resonates or has a particular frequency. What you need to do is change the frequency into something else, but you need to know what the frequency that you need to change it into is. Otherwise, you're just doing something haphazard and, you know, it's not really transmuting anything. So you need to take that thing, you need to know what the frequency is, and you need to change the frequency of it. The way you change the frequency is to vibrate at that particular frequency yourself. When you are vibrating at that frequency, that thing then comes into resonance with your own vibration. In order to do that, you have to bring yourself into resonance with a particular vibration. So it's all about bringing different things into resonance to vibrate at a particular frequency. So that's really how you would transmute the disease. But again, you know, if we were talking about a specific, or the person's body itself, if their cells are not vibrating at the correct frequency. So if you imagine a bunch of cells and one cell just goes out of tune, for instance, what happens is it usually causes a chain reaction. So all the cells around that cell start to vibrate at that altered frequency. So what you then need to do is you need to introduce a frequency which is a healing frequency. And by doing that, what it does, all of the cells, the affected cells that are now resonating at the wrong frequency, then start to come into resonance of this new frequency that you've introduced, and then healing of those cells can take place. So that's about transmuting the cells within a person's body, and that would be transmuting a disease, because the cells alter their frequency once a disease is introduced, which is actually the disease. It's you know, the cells vibrating at a particular frequency which is not beneficial to the actual body itself. So that's really what we're talking about there. Where does this energy come from? The underworld, chi, Reiki energy from your body. It comes from everywhere. There is energy everywhere. It's not, you've got energy within your body, you've got energy around you. The ambient energy in the environment. You can work with the elements themselves. You can work with the planetary forces. You can work with specific spirits. All of these things vibrate at a different frequency. Mars vibrates at a different frequency than Jupiter. So if you want to resonate at a particular frequency, you need to invoke that energy. And this is the same with working with spirits. You invoke that energy so that you have this vibrational state that is surrounding you. And then what happens is you start to resonate at the same frequency as this energy that you've surrounded yourself with. And therefore we then resonate at that energy. If we can keep that frequency, that vibration going, then we flow into that particular state. So where does the energy come from? Everywhere. Literally everywhere. If you are working with a particular energy which is from the underworld, then you would, use that energy. If you are tapping into a particular current of energy, such as Reiki. Reiki is a current of energy. We get attuned to that energy, which means that we get connected to the current, and then because we're connected to it, it then is allowed to flow through us, we allow it to flow through us. Because when we are doing Reiki, we are not actually healing anybody. We are allowing the healing current to flow through us, and it's the current, the energy itself, which is doing the healing. We're just the channels at the end of the day. Do you think that meditating or removing a disease during waning moon and meditating on increasing health during waxing moon makes sense? It makes perfect sense, because again, it comes back to energy, frequency, vibration, resonance. What you're doing is the moon is shifting vibrational states as it goes through its waxing stage into its full and then into its waning phase. So what you're doing is you're tapping into that particular frequency, that particular energy. So during the waxing phase, the moon is increasing. There's a vibrational energy, which is an increasing energy. So what you want to try and do there then is try and increase the healing process. But then when it's waning, it's a decreasing energy. So you want to remove the illness, the disease. So you've got this increase of health, you've got this decrease of disease. It's the same with habits. We can, during a waxing moon, we can increase good habits. During a waning moon, we can remove bad habits. Everything, financial stuff. You can increase your finances during waxing. You can remove your debts during waning. So there's that increase and decrease, and you're again tapping into the energy, the actual particular frequency of something, and allowing that yourself to resonate at that same frequency. And then working with ascended masters as opposed to demons, fairies, and archangels. If it resonates with you, then go for it. I have no problem with working with ascended masters, with demons, or with archangels. Fae are a bit different, and in that regard, probably Jinn. The way you work with them is a lot different. Are there more benefits with working with one as opposed to the other? No, not at all. I think, it depends on what you actually want to do. You'll probably find that they can all do exactly the same thing and just as effectively, but within their ranks, if we want to call it that. There are particular spirits that can help with particular things, and different spirits that can help with other things. But whether it's ascended masters, archangels, gods, goddesses, demons, jinn, fae, land spirits, etc., 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 I don't think we can say that one is better than another. It purely depends on the work you're trying to achieve, or the thing you're trying to accomplish, and how you personally feel. I prefer to work with demonic forces rather than celestial or angelic forces. It's just a personal thing. Other people are the opposite, because they just connect better with them. So it really just boils down to that. But is one more powerful than the other? No, I wouldn't say so. And then recommendations of books. So what I would actually recommend is having a look into Jonathan Goldman books. He writes a lot about sound healing and vibrational healing. And as I said, it doesn't. You don't have to confine it just to healing. Everything vibrates. Everything is energy, and it vibrates at a particular frequency. And what we're trying to do is bring ourselves into resonance with particular different frequencies, so that we vibrate at that frequency. And because we're vibrating that frequency, we become that thing. So if you want to become Jupiter, become abundant, prosperous, etc., vibrate at the same frequency as Jupiter. That type of thing. So that's what we're really talking about with all of this stuff, with everything that we, everything regarding this channel is about vibration and energy. All right. So I thought that was interesting, and I wanted to include it, as I said, in the Monday Musing, because it covers all bases. It's very specific to healing, but it covers everything. All right. So we're going to leave that there today, and we'll see you next week. Have a good one. Cheers for now. Bye-bye.